To the Most High and Christ. We back again. Just want to kind of stay up to date with the. We kind of want to stay up to date with the protesters. Uh, Trump and the governors and all the so-called government officials. They put out a pretty starch warning to the protesters not to throw anything at the police. And we see here, we're going to look at a video here where I think they're reporting how well behaved the protesters were all over. But I think we had some action in this video. Let's look at it. And we're going to look at it. I'm going to commentate on it.
All right, we're going to turn back now to the riots in Los Angeles. Police are trying to push back rioters as they throw bottles at officers. Law enforcement was forced to use tear gas to protect themselves against these protesters. Christina Coleman is live with the latest for us. Hi again, Christina.
Yeah, they were throwing bottles, rocks, concrete, boulders, commercial-grade fireworks, and you can see officers, they still have a protective line here to try and stop the crowd from going any further. We've come to a point where you see these vehicles here. You can see cars who have been driving down along this way here in downtown LA. I imagine there's some confusion because
Let's see.
it goes into effect in about a half hour, and you still have a lot of people down here, and different points are closed off. Again, as police, law enforcement, sheriff's deputies, as they do the best that they can to try to prevent any further violence. Again, since last Saturday, there have been more than 500 arrests related to protest activity, most of them for failure to disperse. But you did have the violence. There again, you can see law enforcement. So they continue to shift, they continue to move, because it's a very fluid situation out here. Every now and then you have people just hurling objects at them. Moments before I came on air, we heard fireworks again. So can I imagine those were probably lobbed and hurled at law enforcement. So again, they block off that area. They do what they can. At times they had to disperse tear gas. They've also dispersed those rubber bullets to clear out the crowd. So they're shouting hold here. You can tell they're doing their best, communicating, trying to hold the line here to prevent any further violence. And as we wait for this curfew to go into effect, but even before that, again, there was an order, a dispersal order for the crowd because of the violence that erupted hours ago. And so people have been told to leave this area, leave immediately, and you can see them disobeying law enforcement. So I'm moving along with my photographer here.
Now, you hear her say you can see the people disobeying law enforcement. Now, where are we at with this? How are we supposed to proceed as free people when the people that we are paying to protect us are the criminals who are making laws and pushing us around like cattle? Now, you see who they got up here? They use our people. They used our people. Why? Let's analyze this situation. These are people, and we look at this lady here. She's gray-headed. This young woman is speaking for these what you would call them common citizens in uniforms, because we know once you violate the citizen's constitutional right, if you are an officer, you considered an officer for your government. Okay, let's just say they were our government. We gave them consent to be our government. Most of these Europeans did. And this I don't know what she is. She could be Ham. She could be Japhet. She could be Israelite. But they got their jobs from the people. It's easy to understand. I don't know why we keep playing this charade with them. These people are out here because they paid these people to work for them. They paid this government, this so-called government, their so-called delegates to work for them. And instead of them arresting the criminal, which would be Donald Trump, all the senators, all the people who are violating these people, their citizens, and the people of the land. Some of them are indigenous people. You have some of the Mexican people whose families were Issachar. Families are Issachar. But for the majority, you have Europeans, you have Edomites out here. This is their government. They paid them to work for them. All these people out here know this. They know they work for us. We pay them to do a job to protect us. And when they stop protecting us and become domestic terrorists on us, then they cease to work for us. It's simple. It's insubordination. These people are attacking their bosses. These people in the uniforms that Donald Trump sent out there, he's saying, you're never going to get me out of this office. I'm going to use this military to attack the people who put me in office. I'm going to use my military force, federal and local, to attack the people who pay my salary. The people know it. It's in all the books, in all the law books, black law book, grand jury, it's in the grand for the people. Everybody know that the government work for the people. And especially these people that's out here, because they are Edomites. They are white. They are white. They, wherever their territory is, wherever they are, these people that are chasing them down the street work for them. Tell me, where does this black woman, what is her purpose? They must be paying her a pretty good amount of money to work for them, to report. Who is she trying to, who's her target audience? No, we got the people straight. We know these people are attacking their owners. I mean, their employers. The people in the blue uniform is just like, they are as bad as that man that hunted down the CEO for Medicare and killed him. They are as bad as him. They are as bad as any postal worker that would walk in the post office, disgruntled postal worker, and shoot everybody in the office. They are as bad as them. They are as bad as anybody that would walk in a school and shoot all the children. They are just as bad. I hope you hear me. I hope you're listening. I hope you have an ear to hear. These people are trying to force free men and women, God-given rights. They're free to obey their wills, obey Donald Trump. One man. They're trying to make a king. What's the reason for that? We're gonna talk more about that, but we see this house, you know what I want to say. We see her, she must be getting paid really well to go against, just her opportunity to be a taskmaster, a reporter, the house nigga, a coon. Fair use, 1701. Was it 1701? I don't know. Fair use, 1976 Fair Use Act. But they paying her pretty good, and she's enjoying it too. But she's going to get caught up. Somebody's going to ask her a question, and I want to see what you guys think. They're going to ask her a question about the authenticity of these raids and these protests and the authenticity of these people protesting and the police. Are they actors? They're going to act them as essentially what they're saying. They're going to ask them, are they actors or are they authentically fighting for their rights, protesting for their rights? Let's watch.
And so you can just see, this is what we've been doing off and on for hours. We've been moving all throughout downtown as protesters continue to move around in different areas. I saw them getting together in what looked like a little parking area between a couple of buildings, and law enforcement cleared that out for hours. We've been moving all throughout downtown as protesters continue to move around in different areas. I saw them getting together in what looked like a little parking area between a couple of buildings, and law enforcement cleared that out pretty quickly. They're like, you need to go. And of course, they don't want people to get together and communicate and possibly cause mayhem, especially with this being such a volatile and unpredictable situation. So that is what we're seeing here. And again, you have so many people here, the protesters who are.
So that that Jim Crow law is back in effect. They don't want people to gather together. They don't want the people who they work for to gather together. So they are pushing them along. Okay, we haven't got to the question yet. Watch what this guy asked her, and watch her face and her expression.
They're calling for ICE to be abolished. They're calling for the immigration raids to stop. That is what they.
Okay, so what they're saying is you don't have the right to do what you're doing. They're telling the people, the law enforcement, they're not law enforcement now, they're simply terrorists, because once you violate the people's constitution and start working in your own behalf against the people who hired you, you become their terrorists. And you descend from the office they hired you in for to a common citizen, and your punishment is start off with 10 years in prison, fines, $10,000 fine, 10 to 20 years in prison, and you could be deported because you are not citizens. You are not citizens of this land. We can look at you and tell who you are. You are Edomites. You are Esau's children. You came from the Caucasus Mountains. This is not your land. You came over here and did the same thing. You do this. This is a constant behavior of yours and your people is to take control of the people and force them to do exactly what you want them to do in order to keep your control over this land. It's as simple as that. So we're going to stop playing, and that's the thing. We're going to stop playing these government charades. There's no such thing of a government. This is not their land. They are occupying the land just like the small hats are occupying the Middle East over there. They're occupying that land, and international law says that if you are occupying the land with the indigenous people, then you don't have sovereignty jurisdiction over them. That's international law. Where did that law come from? The Most High God. Because why would the people who are taking jurisdiction over the people in every land they go into make a law that would indict themselves? I'll wait. Why would the people that's committing the crime make a law that makes them guilty of the crime? I'll wait. And we talk about this on every video. I gotta get it in y'all's head, man. I gotta get it in y'all's head, man. God did it. The law of the land is international land, the rights of indigenous people. Every man is free. Every man has a right to dictate his life from his own will and not another person, government, group of people, crooks, can go to people and push them around and tell them, I got laws and I'm going to make you follow them. And see, that's what these people have done. And that's what these people have participated. White people have, when they call themselves white, they are a part of this government coup, this takeover that they helped George Washington to do, chop down the cherry tree, the government of the native people who were here on the land. It's a coup. And now we see it happening to them after almost 600 years. It turned around and started happening to them. This government has draped themselves in sheep clothes and him hauled along and played charade with the people up to the point where they cannot go any farther with the democratic system. They must revert back to kings and subjects in order to keep the land, because why? The people who own the vineyard are not playing the game with them anymore. We are not voting. We know who they are. They've been uncovered. The devil's been revealed to the people who they have been playing charade with. They have been stringing us along to make us think, just keep voting, keep going along with us. One day we'll get the right people in here and they'll give you reparations. They'll treat you right. Just hold on. We ain't your enemies. But now they are admitting that they are our enemies. Why would they do that? Because the jig is up. They've been exposed. The world know who they are now. They know that is a signal that their kingdom is about to fall. It's already fallen. When God bring them down, ain't nothing can prop them up. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? When he hides his face, who then can behold them? Who then can behold him? He does it to a man as well as a nation. When he bring you trouble, when he say it's up, your time is up, like every other kingdom, starting with the Assyrians, the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Medo-Persia, the Greeks, and the Roman kingdom, America, Babylon has fallen. Babylon has fallen because in the mind of God, they can't go any farther. He's tired of it. He's not tolerating them no more. And they have to push the people around like cattle to keep their jurisdiction over this land. And that's all in God's plan, because these same white people, they call themselves white, meaning that we have subverted your authority as indigenous people to ourselves. We are white. This is our time to rule on the earth. Now your time is up. I'm just going to show you this woman, this black woman, she's black, get caught like a deer in headlights by this question.
But that messaging, you don't hear it amid all of this violence here. So I'm standing here. You can see the police here. They're doing their best they can. I've moved just about a block since we've been doing this live shot. Been moving all around downtown, and you have a lot of protesters still here. Again,
Now the protesters have the right to be there. That's their streets. They are resisting the wicked power, right? She said that all this violence is not, see, when you look at, let's take domestic violence. I had to take some domestic violence, I don't think I'm glad I took it, but I just did it. I just did it to, please the courts. But I learned something. Because violence is anytime you hurt a person. Anytime you hurt a person, you're doing violence to them. You don't have to physically lay hands on them. But if you stand in their way and stop them from being free and go on their way free to rule in their own world, if you take their rights away, if you force them to do what you want them to do and just stand there with guns and threats of violence, threats of violence is violence, right? So the violence is when the police came out there and threatened, when Donald Trump threatened, if you come to the streets where I am, I'm going to do something to you. That was the violence. But we see this coon, she understands what violence is. You let her husband threaten her, tell her sit your ass down on that couch, you better not get up. See how fast she'll call the police and say he hit me. He did hit her. Because if you hurt a person through threats and put fear on them, that's violence.
Hour from that curfew going into effect is for a mile around downtown LA. Are you okay, Andy? I'm gonna continue to stay in the street here. You guys watch for me so I don't hit anything. So let's stop here. So Andy, if you can pan back behind me, look at this line of police vehicles. You see that reinforcement here. They have been
We call it reinforcement. We call it threat. We call it assault. And if they don't move, you will hit them. That would be battery. Okay? They don't have the authority and right to do that. Nobody's coming down there driving but the police. Nobody's driving trying to get through those protesters but the police. They know they're there. That's another thing. How do the police know that they're, know that they're going to be there? How they know? Let's see. Let's keep watching.
These officers, they've been on horseback, they're in their patrol cars, they're in patrol units, they're here on the ground, they're doing all that they can. I mean, this area, there is such a huge law enforcement presence in downtown ahead of this curfew going into effect for them to try and keep this area safe. Back to you.
Christina, if I can just ask you, we talked a little bit about the arrest that happened since last Saturday, and you told me a little bit about the strategy. Can you imagine if all of a sudden police officers started arresting people right now, it would erupt in chaos. But these protesters also cover their faces because they don't want to be able to be identified later. And Attorney General Pam Bondi has said, we will come after you. We will find you. And as a matter of fact, they've gotten a few of the organizers. Are there people still out in the streets? Because we can see the backs of the cops, but we can't see the protesters. Are they still all covered up and trying to hide their identities?
Right. Well, a great deal of them are. And I can tell you this, what Pam Bondi was saying and what the sheriff reiterated yesterday is when people are breaking the law, when they're committing these acts of violence, they might not be arrested immediately, but they said that arrest will likely come because even if they try to cover their face out here, there are so many surveillance cameras. There are people recording things on social media. I mean, law enforcement investigators, they're going to comb through all this evidence and they're going to find people who are causing destruction down here.
So on the other hand, those ICE agents and those people that did illegal, that's doing the illegal assault on the people, they shouldn't be hard to find either, right? Okay? We're getting to it. We're just about at the end here.
Right now, LAPD Central Division, they just put on X a message. They said to our downtown LA businesses and residents, please report any criminal activity to LAPD Central Division. Any damage or vandalism should be safely documented. So they're calling on the local business partners out here. They're calling on people who have access to surveillance cameras to turn all that evidence in because they're going to comb through it and they're going to look for the people who have been lobbing, concrete and boulders, rocks, commercial grade fireworks at law enforcement. They say those perpetrators will be arrested and prosecuted and face the fullest extent of the law.
And
back to you.
That'll be very interesting, Christina, to see how that plays out. You know, I specifically was looking at that tweet from the LAPD Central Division, and we're now 25 minutes from that curfew kicking in. And with the protesters on the march, we don't know for sure what will happen, but it is likely that things will escalate. And the businesses, the impact on downtown LA businesses has been pretty significant, it seems, from vandalism all the way to, in some cases, looting.
That's right. You know, I stopped by a gas station this week and just to fill up, and I'm not sure if the guy was the owner, but he told me that he had a relative who had a business down here and that his business was just torn up, and how devastated he was, and how he thought the estimate was about $50,000 in damages. I mean, this has just been such a tough year for LA. You've got the fires, and now you've got this, and it's just so unclear when all of this will come.
This is Donald Trump's and the terrorists that you're looking at in these uniforms. They are committing assault and battery. We got to keep straightening her out. These are the criminals right here. They are common citizens chasing other citizens down the street. That's all it is. Whenever you violate the people's rights, I don't care if it was a judge, a lawyer, any public official that's getting paid by the people, they get their power from the people. Whenever you violate their constitutional protections, then you cease from working. You cease from your position. You descend out of the office. You no longer work for the police department if you violate a citizen's right. Now, y'all, don't take what I'm saying and go try to use it on the police and stuff. You got to know how to use this, man. You got to keep this in your mind thinking, but you always have to agree quickly with your adversary. Agree quickly with the devil, or else he's going to destroy you. These are devils you are dealing with here. That's why people are running down the street away from them. They are pursuing the people. We act like we don't know what we're watching on the video. These people are on God's given earth, their land. These people say, we gonna tell you can't stand out in these areas where we don't want you to stand at. We own this. Donald Trump owned this. But we're paying y'all. We take your tax money and we still tell you what to do. We got guns. Look at our guns. Look at the guns, man. These people are throwing rocks saying, stop chasing us. You saying, oh, you committing violence. But you're chasing us with guns. Oh, you committing violence. We get a little closer, we're going to find out who that is. And we got cameras down here. And, we're going to take your rights eventually. We're going to take your rights. You ain't going to have no rights as God's creatures on the earth. Let's watch.
To an end. You know, we've seen some of those peaceful protests throughout the weekend. I know we were all hoping for it today. You know, we had that massive, what the organizers called No King protest here in downtown LA. Thousands and thousands of people showed up, and for hours it was relatively calm. It was relatively peaceful, and we're walking away, and then all of a sudden we're getting these alerts that a dispersal order had been issued. And I'm like, what happened? What's going on? And it's because of this violence. We didn't have to go far to see people lobbing things at law enforcement, throwing bottles at law enforcement, and now
they just started throwing bombs at law enforcement. That's what you're trying to tell us. That's what you're trying to tell us. These people just started throwing bottles. They was peaceful all day, and then all of a sudden they just start throwing bottles at law enforcement. Right? Really? People with guns chasing them. They just start. No reason at all. The police was peaceful, just standing there, not bothering them. And all of a sudden, these people, old people in there, mothers with kids, their grandmas, their grandpas, and they just start throwing bottles. No. The paid actors start throwing bottles, right? See, we're getting close to the truth. Let's go.
you have this. them shifting downtown. And if you pan just straight ahead of you, you can see even more law enforcement there. So they're blocking off different points, different intersections to try and control the crowd, try and keep people moving along. And then every now and then you'll just see people break out running, lots of protesters. But right now in this intersection.
Oh, they just start running for no reason at all, right? Is she an idiot or does she think we're an idiot? All of a sudden you just see people take off running. They are making the people run. They are chasing them with guns and grenades and tear gas. You're going to say all of a sudden the people just start off running. Peaceful people that came to protest peacefully, all of a sudden you just see them take off running. This is the people we deal with, man. And it's going to take the mighty God to catch them in their sleep and give them a dream. We pray God give all these people out here nightmares, where people are chasing them and trying to kill them in their dreams. We pray that the Most High give you such a disturbing dreams that you cannot shake. You have PTSD for the rest of your life for what you're doing to these people. All praise to the Most High.
There was a huge crowd, but as you can see, it's gone. And this is a testament to law enforcement and how they are operating. They have a
how are they operating? They're running the people away. The people who have the freedom to go where they want to go, they're standing up saying, you won't have freedom. We're taking your freedom. You can't go where you want to go. You go where we tell you to go. We're going to take your tax money. We're going to take all your money, and we're going to you still don't have no freedom. We're going to dictate to you what we want you to do, and you're going to do it, or we're going to chase you down with these guns and tear gas and dogs. We're going to shoot bullets in you. We're going to make the dogs bite you. We're going to lock your old gray-haired grandma and grandpa up. This is what y'all want? This is what y'all want? If this is what y'all want, then you are part of this organization, man. Here we get into the question.
Method here where they are moving slowly, they're moving the crowd along and they're dispersing them, and that's what they want. Okay, so we just saw somebody just threw glass at law enforcement, and we're hearing some flashbangs. So you can see that. Andy, are you able to zoom in? Okay, so you can hear that going off right there. You can see them. If we could zoom in right there, you can see them firing off, trying to protect themselves. I just heard glass.
I thought Trump gave them the order to anybody throw anything at them, chase them down and shoot them. See, they're a lot of bull crap, man. They are full of bull crap. This is all an act, man. It's people down there throwing that stuff up at the police, and they are paid by the police. Those not police. They are common citizens dressed in police uniforms, because they are no longer working for the people who are their bosses. They are on their own private contractors, and they make their own policies. They make their own guidelines, what they're going to follow. Let's watch.
So somebody probably threw something else at these officers who are just doing their best to protect and serve. Really shameful.
Protect and serve what? If they wasn't out there, the people would have no business they would have no reason to be out there. If Donald Trump wasn't trying to be a king and taking the Constitution and going in and ripping their system apart, which I don't care. I'm happy. Trust me, I'm happy. I'm just trying to show you, the people, what it means not to be free. I'm showing you what it means not to be free. And what it means to resist the devil. They know how to resist. But when you have a devil saying, if you resist me, if you come out on the streets and claim to resist my king and lordship over you, taking authority and jurisdiction over you and these streets where you live, where God set you down. Well, God set us down. But this is also the hand of the Most High, letting the people know that this thing is serious. Maybe our people aren't out there, our young people, they see this happening and they are stunned. They are afraid. They are shivering in their boots. Israelites, black people are shivering in their boots. They're not going out here. They see it happening in real time to these people. Although a lot of it is protest and a lot of it is paid actors trying to hype up. If the people were not running and was standing there while the paid actors were throwing at the police would shoot the innocent people. But they're running. So they're okay with that because they know they have paid actors throwing stuff at them. They're not going to hit them to hurt them. They're too far back in the crowd. So if the people would just stand there, they would have a reason to shoot the people. But the people are running. That's the only thing saving them. They don't want to fight. They didn't come to fight. They didn't come to throw nothing at the police because they're running.
That they're having to go through this. And like I reiterated earlier, Robert Luna, the sheriff, he said, things have been peaceful, but his deputies, they're still facing dangerous situations. And they are. I mean, just take a look at this. Back to you.
Well, please be safe because you're right in the middle of it. And thank you for taking the risks you're doing to bring us these pictures. The question is, how do they choose where they're going to protest? Is this just sort of a random spot that they've chosen? Was there some immigration raids that were taking place around here? And are you hearing that the immigration enforcement is continuing? Are these protests having their intended effect of stopping immigration enforcement?
So the immigration raids are absolutely continuing. The Trump administration made it clear that they're going to continue to enforce immigration law. But as for these protests, it's not clear how long these are going to go on. I can tell you for these No King's Day protests, there were all kinds of announcements. Law enforcement said they were...
See, she didn't address the issue. Why are they here? She touched on it. He asked her, why are these people here? Are they here for ICE? Are they here protesting that they pay you people that you work for them? She didn't really get into it, right? She probably got a bug in her ear and they're talking to her, telling her how to answer this. Everything I was talking about, he asked her to give her an opportunity basically to shoot that propaganda out there. Because what the people are saying is, you work for us. How are y'all militarizing our streets where we got to go, and telling us where we can go and where we can't go, and telling us that, you're going to keep your hand in our Social Security, our veterans benefits, take our jobs, just keep destroying us to where we can't live. Keep poisoning our food, take our medicines away from us. You can't do that. We didn't ask you to do that. So that's what's happening right here. She didn't answer the question. So all praises to the Most High. We see why they're here. We know why they are here. They're here because they are out of time. They are out of time. And they don't know anything else to do, because they realize that we are not coming back to fight them on the streets that they claim that they can shoot us down on. We'd be stupid to do that. We're not fighting them in the voting booth anymore. We're not participating in their system. That's scary. Although we're sitting on the couch and we're saying, because you don't give us what we need to participate in your system, is we don't want to participate in it. But what's so scary, that's okay. They could give us some crumbs and a lot of our people would jump right back in it. A lot of our people really haven't gave up on the system. Our drug dealers, our party, young youth, people still looking to fall in love. People still got hope in Esau's system. All you have to do is lighten up off of them, give them a few crumbs, a few $2,000 or $3,000, and they'll go right back in slavery and go right back to sleep. But they know it's too many of us out here that has awakened, and God has made us his army, and they are afraid, and they know the system that they set up to control us like cattle has broken down. It's broke. It's broke. And God broke it. The Most High God broke it. He woke us up. We know who we are. We got our identity back. We know that they are the criminals and the devils on the earth. They have been uncovered, and they cannot stand that. They feel vulnerable. They don't have a cloak to hide them and their wickedness anymore. The image of the beast has been destroyed. We know a crime. Jesus told us a crime had been committed. A crime, he told John to write down what you see. He said, what you see, write in the book. First thing John did was gave his description. The description of the black Jesus, Yahushua. John knew what he looked like. He said, this looked like Jesus. You want me to write your description down? He said, yeah. Why did Jesus do that? Because, why did Jesus ask John to reveal his identity? Because he knew these people had posed a picture of themselves as the Christ, as God's Son, therefore making them the chosen people, the owners of the vineyard, to cloak themselves so we wouldn't stand up against them, the evildoers. We don't know who the evildoers are. We wouldn't know who the evildoers are, so they cloaked themselves to appear as righteous, so they could sneak around and continue to do mischief on the earth. But their time is up. It's over. They know it. All praises to the Most High in Christ.